Hey, everybody rolling in. Enlo is correct. Cassie's on the ball right now. She is here. Welcome. Guys, I have our very own Azrael has assisted me in getting my stream settings perfect. So, my hope is there will be no further interruptions for your precious connections. Days, it will be golden as a golden calf, and we will worship this stream. Cassie's usually fashionably late. Clorox, bleach, those are good questions you're asking, but I'm sure there's a plethora of other combinations we need to go over first. Johnachino with the 2 Canadian maple syrup dollars. Says, big fan, keep it up. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Good way to kick off the stream. Johnachino loves some cappuccino. Hope this music isn't too loud. Yeah, today we are doing some true scary stories, getting back to the old roots there. We did the Matrix, Glitch in the Matrix stories last time, and that video is doing well. I hope you have enjoyed it. Yeah. Big appreciation to everybody who has submitted their stories, which is always awesome. I mean, you guys keep me going. Those that we contact about getting permission for your stories, or those that submit them, it definitely makes life a lot easier, and I'm glad we can get your stories out there and you guys can symbiotically support the channel. I think we got some good ones for you today. Angela's got no school tomorrow. Anybody else got off school tomorrow? Apparently the garage door is opening. Next, you were binge listening to my videos. That's good. That's the best way to do it. If you can stay awake. Uh-oh, yeah, this is finals weather. That time of the year. The sun starts to come out, so why don't we just force ourselves back inside to start studying. Oh yeah, midterms, my bad. Yeah, spring break kind of might be different for everybody's wherever they're at. I know where I'm from, spring break was last week, and now we're kind of in the midst of probably some other people's spring breaks as well. Oh, it froze. I don't really know. I don't think I understand. Oh man, everybody stream, yeah, Glitch in the Matrix stream froze. Man, that's I don't know. I literally reset my router. I set the stream to 2500 bitrate to kind of best help everyone there with struggling internet connections. And yeah, I don't... Not too sure. Yeah, and maybe if you drop the... I mean, really, I guess there's no need for too much as far as quality goes. I mean, because most of it, I guess, is just voice and all that kind of stuff. And then whenever I switch over to, like, the stories, I mean, I don't know if dropping the quality down on that as far as going from, like, 720 down to 240 or something like that. Oh boy, okay. Yeah, I don't know if maybe the garage door opening gave the house a jolt or something like that. I literally will have no concept of what in the world is going on with streams. Panda Jams with the $5 says your videos are amazing and I love watching them while working. Yeah, maybe a hard refresh on your guys' part can get things going again. I mean, does anyone... I don't know. Yeah, 2500 bitrate, streaming for the best quality. There's really not much I can do on my end, because Our internet's actually pretty solid. I mean, like, at least for here in the States, it got, like, upload rate is like 12 I don't even know, megabytes per second or something like that. Yeah, how many people we got rolling here? For some reason it doesn't, like, I'm gonna have to switch off of Streamlabs OBS, because that's kind of what I've gotten used to using, but it's been relatively unreliable. Not too sure anymore. Vupasaur with the 20 kroners out in Daneland says, I'm here for the noodles. Perverts, shake my head. Oh. Got plenty of those. We got noodles all around. Do I remember Greg from a couple streams ago? I don't know if I remember Mr. Greg. Maybe. Depends on his username, I guess. Sound effects. I don't really have too many sound effects. If you're referring to the current music is just a copyright-free, like, lo-fi hip-hop type thing, which I usually do before the stream starts, and then I also use Iron Cthulhu's copyright-free music and stuff. Blue Rooster, I do like stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy is like one of my favorite things. I haven't watched it in quite a while. Abby Mayer with the 5 says, marry me and make me the happiest man ever. Abby, are you a man? You don't look too much like a man. Dr. Butter My Biscuit with the 10 says, sup, thank you, Butter Biscuit. It's good to see you back. Got the butter socks, got the buttered biscuits, we're good to go. And Zachary James with the 2 says, Dono Hype Train boys. Oh, and face reveal soon. Hey, we are getting there. If you guys head over to the Discord, link in the description. We're getting close to 100 selfies. I don't know what the exact number is. We're at quite so far, but it's right around 1,000. So if you guys want to take a peek at my mug here soon, you better get in there and start sharing your face. Maximum of 2 selfies per person. Miss Molly with the $5 says, I appreciate your work and voice. Listening to the stories lets my imagination go freely, and I love it, and I watch you the most. You kick ass. Thank you, Miss Molly. I appreciate it. It's cool to hear when people are like creating, writing, doing homework, you know, those kind of things that sometimes you just need to allow your mind to run free. I'm glad that my voice can assist with that. 631 selfies. Uh-oh. That's scary. Streaming is glitched. I don't know. I'm not even sure what to say anymore. Let me check upload speed. Maybe it's honestly, like it honestly, so my download speed is, not sure if this matters or not, but yeah, we're at like 250 megabits. I don't know if that's, and then, yeah, like around 10 megabits per second. I don't really know for the upload speed and stuff. So I don't know if that's super great. It says your internet speed's very fast. Maybe it's my settings. I mean, I got it at, but it might just be Streamlabs OBS. I think next time I'll try to get that worked out and see what we can do here, because obviously I wanted it to be the best for you guys. Nina, it would probably be best not to post pictures of random people. I will destroy your bloodline. Well, guys, I think it's about that time that we slowly ease ourselves into the spookiness world. Let's rock and roll. And maybe perhaps I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to those particular things, like trying to get my stream stuff ready. Like, you know, it's unfortunate. I sometimes kind of wonder, like, if YouTube, I don't know, all these like theories I can push out there, but it's most likely something to do with the program here. I'm not super duper certain. Gashi with the 14 Canadian maple syrup dollars says, baby shark doo 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 doo. Hey, let's read, aka Joel, aka Velvet Voice, la la la. Thank you, Kashi. I appreciate that. That's what I should play in the background. Baby shark doo 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 doo. So, our first little story we're going to be going through today is called Obsessive Older Relative Terrorized Me for Years. Now, if the stream itself allows you to, feel free to read along with me on screen. I've got the story pulled up here. Do a full cover of Baby Shark, oh yeah. Sicko mode or Mobamba? We'll have to take a vote. Also, did anybody have any issues with their internet recently? Because last night, multiple of my friends, I mean, I guess we're kind of in the same area, but like, you know, our internet went out. And then Instagram has been having trouble. Facebook was down. I mean, yeah, the government is taking over. Maybe they're transitioning power. Who knows? But it was kind of, I don't know if suspicious would be the right word, but it certainly was odd. But at the same time, like, I can't imagine trying to run companies like that. I'm sure once in a while you have, I mean, look at us, we're having glitches. Doesn't mean it's some conspiracy theory per se, but we all are human and can't imagine running like a massive company. Mercury retrograde. Yeah. The government's taking over. I'm pretty sure Facebook is already a government. Well, Facebook owns Instagram, and those are already government-operated institutions. As far as like what was it? LifeLog. Do you guys remember LifeLog? It was like a DARPA like pet project or whatever. And then just look it up. Look up LifeLog, and then look up when it was founded. And then literally the day after that, Facebook, like after they shut it down, Facebook is founded. And essentially it was just like a database of collecting people's identities and that sort of thing. So I always found that to be interesting. And then I do enjoy that Facebook is slowly dying as it transitions to the newer generation of Instagram. Instagram definitely is superior as far as capturing your attention. Facebook is just too messy. Just too messy. Lucy, you're heading out? Well, thanks for stopping by. Do a live stream of me browsing the dark web. I don't think I have the know-how or the bravery to enter into the dark web, and then probably get banned or something like that. Yeah, I use Facebook for the Messenger app as well. Other than that, I'm just kind of wasting my time on there. I don't really, at least with Instagram, you can go, there's like a discover thing, like, and you can just like stumble across random ADD crap. But like Facebook, like what? I don't even know. It's like there's no like, it's just not user friendly or anything really. It's just like a mishmash of nonsense, and it's not guiding. It like doesn't guide your brain. Okay. So I've already recorded, as some of you may know, my about 10 to 12 seconds of silence, so I can remove that and the background noise when I'm editing later. And yeah. Baby shark. This story all starts back when I was about 6 or 7. I was always a quiet girl that liked spending a lot of time alone, reading or playing. I had a lot of friends, but never spent much time with them outside of school because my alone time was always very important to me. After moving to a new city closer to some relatives that I didn't see much growing up, my aunt decided that it would be a great idea if I spent my after-school hours playing with her son, who is 7 years older than me. My cousin was an odd kid. He never got on well with other people and usually ended up being an outcast. He had no friends and spent much of his time indoors watching TV or playing video games. He was prone to fits of rage that usually ended with him breaking things or screaming a lot. He was also a lot bigger than most people his age and was huge compared to me. Around when we started hanging out, he was already 6'4" and very overweight. He also had what I've come to call dead eyes. When he looks at you, it's like he's looking through you, and any emotion he showed never reached his eyes other than anger. My aunt thought it would be beneficial for the both of us if we started spending our free time together, so he would have a friend, and I wouldn't be spending so much time alone. My parents weren't as enthusiastic, but thought it couldn't cause any harm. Everyone in my family always felt bad for my cousin due to him always being alone and having parents that weren't fit to be parents. It was more like I was babysitting him more than anything, which, looking back, was a horrible situation to put a young girl in with a guy so much older and bigger. It started out innocent enough. We shared some common interests, and such as reading and video games, and he seemed to not be as violent with me, maybe because I was family, it's hard to say. It got to the point that we were talking or hanging out every day. People often mistook him for my older brother. When I got to be about 9 or 10, things started to change. By that time, he was 17, kicked out of school, and regularly intimidating people. He was socially awkward to the point that I was the only person who he could have a conversation with, and he came to depend on my presence. I couldn't hang out with friends or have free time, or he would call up screaming and cry that I was betraying him or abandoning him. Then the threats started. I remember being in his apartment with him one day while his parents were out, and he was showing me a new knife that he bought. For whatever reason, I was never afraid of him. Even when he would have outbursts around me, it always seemed I could calm him down, and I couldn't imagine he would hurt me as I was his only friend. It was this day that he laid down that we were going to run away from home. What? It's weird. The music got you Poco Loco. Yeah, we are recording stories for tomorrow's video. And yeah, keep an eye out for how many mistakes I made. That was cut number 1. You guys can keep me on track. We don't have Spartan here today to keep tabs on me like he normally does. Keep a little fire under my bum. Yeah, I was confused with how we got to the running away from home part. I couldn't hang out with friends or have free time, or he would call up screaming and cry that I was betraying him or abandoning him. Then the threats started. I remember being in his apartment with him one day while his parents were out, and he showed me a new knife that he bought. For whatever reason, I was never afraid of him. Even when he would have outbursts around me, it always seemed like I could calm him down, and I couldn't imagine he would hurt me as I was his only friend. And then this is the part that I'm kind of confused about or whatever. It was this day that he laid down. Okay, so he laid down, meaning like he was dropping some knowledge, apparently, on her that she was otherwise unaware of. Okay. I'm gonna say he dropped the bomb, per se. It was this day that he dropped the bomb that we were going to run away from home when I turned 16, and that I was going to be his wife and take care of him like a mother, basically, while he would spend his days playing video games. I sort of laughed it off, thinking it was a bizarre joke or some sort of game he was playing. This really made him angry. He flew off the handle and started screaming and waving the knife around with the blade out that we were meant for each other. There was no way he would let me live if he couldn't have me. Being a naive idiot, I didn't tell my parents or his parents, and things got worse from there. If I tried to put it off hanging out with him, he would threaten my parents or my cats or his parents. He would come to my apartment late at night, knock on the door, then run off, I guess to let me know he could. At the same time, he began doubling down on me being destined to be his lover. He would use his allowance to buy inappropriate clothing for me or flowers. He would write poems and fanfics about our life together. He would call me in the middle of the night and try to get me to talk about inappropriate things with him. He also became very controlling. It got to the point that just going to school for the day would set him off because it was less time that he got to spend with me. I remember being about 14 and him killing his pet parrot in a fit of rage because I was late coming over to his apartment after school. It's cliché, but he was screaming, "Look what you made me do," over and over, then crying and hugging the parrot. It was one of the most terrifying things I've seen. He had a new parrot the next day. I can't remember how, but I ended up telling my parents about everything he was doing and that I was afraid to be around him. They banned him from seeing me anymore and told his aunt that he was scaring me and not to bring him to They banned him from seeing me anymore and told his aunt that he was scaring me and not to bring him to family get-togethers. I was honestly relieved and thought it was over, and that I could start living some sort of life of my own without being tied to the hip to him. But then the threatening phone calls and the text messages and the social media messages started. He would either try to catfish me by pretending to be someone else, or he would straight up tell me that I was going to die soon, or my family was, and it was my fault for ruining his life. He sounded deranged, the way he would scream and scream. Oh shit. Zombie Mama with the 183. Thank you, Zombie. Appreciate that. An interesting number. I don't know why I've never seen the 183 specifically, but I appreciate it. He sounded so deranged, the way he would scream and scream, his all caps messages. I had to stop going out for walks because he started showing up and watching me. I honestly thought that he was going to end my life. Every day was constant fear until I was 16 or so and got my first boyfriend. When he heard that I was with someone, I got my last message from him, saying that I betrayed him in the worst way possible, and one day, it could be weeks from now, or years from now, he would find me and end me. Everything died down after that. He never came to family gatherings. He became a neat... What? A neat? He became a neat. What's a neat? Maybe he became a hermit and lives off... Okay, that sounds more normal. He never came to family gatherings. He became a complete shut-in and lives off his parents playing. He became a neat guy. He never came to family gatherings and became a complete shut-in and lives off his parents playing video games all day. He found someone online that he started to talk to, which I guess took his focus off of me. My life went back to some sort of normality until I was 21. Then I received a phone call from him asking me to help get his life back together because, according to him, the day I left his life was the day that he lost all hope. I hung up on him. It's been years now. He's in his mid-30s, still completely shut in. I still fear he'll come for me one day. I see him every once in a while walking around where I now live. He looks terrifying. There's honestly so much more to this story that I've forgotten over the years. It has become such a blur due to a lot of other stuff that I was coping with around the same time, but I can say he made my life a nightmare for many years. Some of the more painful aspects of the story I can't even get into without throwing myself into a fit of anxiety. I hope to God that I never have to be in the same room as him again, because if that happens, I don't think I'll come out the other side alive. A NEET is not in employment, education, or training. Okay. Oh, I didn't I didn't realize it was like an acronym or something like that, where and then that was like common language. Yeah, that is odd. If you raise a kid who is that deranged to not kind of put a stop to that nonsense. Does anybody play, what's it called, Apex? We got friends messaging me about getting champions, but I literally can't survive. It's like as soon as I drop, I die, or I'll be looting for a while and then die, which just means that I'm trash. But I did play a little bit of Titanfall because it was on sale, and I was just curious what it's like. And yeah, Titanfall was pretty cool. I really enjoyed just like the concept where you were kind of running through an urbanized area. There was pilots, which I guess are just the main, like the user-controlled characters. And then you also have a bunch of like random grunts running around that are NPCs that you can kill. And basically, it's really neat because you kind of got like this grapple hook. Madeline Garnot with the $1. Thank you, Madeline. And it was sweet because I like grappled around the one side of the building from this team of like 3 dudes that were shooting me, like kind of like looped up around, flanked in, shot the one dude, and then got his like 50 caliber sniper, which is like a 1-hit kill apparently in that game, because then they used it on his buddies who didn't know I was there still, and just wiped the team. And yeah, I mean, I probably won't play it again just because I'm kind of like, I don't know, once I kind of experience a game once, I played so many video games for so long throughout my life that unless I'm like motivated by the social aspect of playing with friends, or I'm just like really into it, I don't know, it kind of like fall off. And by no means am I a pro gamer. No, Spooky, that's I'm actually trash most of the time. Emily, welcome. And what new game is this that you're talking about, Spooky? Because now you got me curious. Outward. Skyrim, but hard. Okay. Oh yeah, I think I've seen that advertised recently. It almost looks like an MMO and stuff like that. The way that it's like the way the camera is and just the. Maybe I'm wrong. Elizabeth Harrington, thank you for finding my channel and thank you for joining. Alright, so that's story 1 down, and we're doing pretty decent. I don't know how many mistakes we're at right now, but not too shabby. This one, with 699 uptokes, is called I Almost Got Carjacked, or Worse. Does anyone play Monopoly? Also, Spooky is currently in the process of getting some permissions for aliens and UFO encounter stories, so that should be. I enjoy like the like obviously theme videos, but I also really enjoy like the theme videos for the paranormal stuff. So like when we do the specific glitch in the Matrix, or now we're doing aliens, or even if we do something like related to cryptids of that sort, I always enjoy switching it up once in a while. Whoa. Whisper sweet nothings into our ears from Let's Read Sexy Voice. Thank you for the 5 Let's Read Sexy Voice. My own voice just donated to me. Can you believe that? And Paige Gone with the 15 buckaroos says, absolutely love your videos. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are very generous today. I appreciate that. Nothing beats my buttery, buttersock voice. I take all the butter after, wearing my butter socks during the stream, and I kind of like wring it out like right into my throat. It's delicious. It's keto too. It's keto friendly. What's my dream car? Wow, good question. Probably a PT Cruiser with flames on the side. It's kind of a no-brainer, but maybe some NOS with some cool lights, neon lights underneath while I'm cruising. Downtown DT, I like to call it. Ashley with the 3 says, absolutely love your videos. Thank you, Ashley. DT in my PT Cruiser. I'm downtown in my Pound Town. Driving my way downtown, PT Cruiser, cruising along. Carjacked or worse. I've been dating my girlfriend for about 2.5 years. She's a small blonde with a positive attitude about everything. We both go to college, so we only get to see each other so much. Her college is in New Hampshire and mine is in Massachusetts. Since she doesn't have a car, I will drive up to hers in my old little red car that I got from my grandmother. I am not a huge fan of the car, but I got it basically free, so I can't complain. I never had an issue making this hour-and-a-half drive, but a few weeks ago I got more than my fill. I was visiting my grandmother and it already was becoming a rough day. We wanted the dorm room to ourselves, but her annoying roommate wouldn't leave, so we hung out in the common room. After spending most of the day together, we finally called it time for me to head back to my own college. I said goodbye and that I would text her when I got back. It was 6 o'clock anyways, and it was getting pretty dark outside given that it was winter. I normally take the New Hampshire back roads for a more scenic route and also to avoid traffic. It doesn't affect the time of traveling at all either, so that's a plus. Most people who live in or visit New Hampshire know that most of the back roads are not lit well with streetlights or are not even lit at all. This isn't too much of a problem because I can just put it on my high beams. About 30 minutes of driving, I turned down a road that looked as if though it was just a wide path. The GPS said that I would be going straight for about 7 miles, and due to knowing about the way New Hampshire roads could be, I didn't think anything of it. The street was like how I mentioned before and was narrow enough for a car and a half, was surrounded by woods, and was not lit with streetlights at all. I got about 3 or 4 miles in and saw a guy in my high beams standing in the middle of the road. He was waving down my car asking for help. The road wasn't big enough for me to pass around him, so I had to stop. The man then came around to my driver's side window and gestured for me to put it down. I wasn't fully thinking straight, so I put my window down about halfway. He looked like an average 40 to 45-year-old man, but he gave off a disturbing presence. He told me he was having car troubles and asked me to get out of my car and help him. Now, I'm a 19-year-old and have an average build with brown surfer-style hair. None of my physical qualities hint to me knowing anything about cars. I then told him that I knew nothing about cars and that if he really needed help, that I could call him a mechanic or tow truck. He kept gesturing to his black, rusted pickup truck and insisted that I got out to help him. This started to give me the chills, and I didn't know what to do. That's when I noticed that there was someone crouching behind his truck. The man couldn't tell, but I began to internally panic. My fight-or-flight senses kicked into gear, and I chose to try something risky. I then told the guy that I would pull over on the side of the road ahead and get out to see what I can help him with. This seemed to work, and the guy began to smile. He backed off of my car, and I stepped as hard as I could on my gas pedal. I sped off and looked into my rearview mirror to see both men run out into the middle of the road and just stand there. I kept driving as fast as I could until I got off the road to a nearby gas station where I stopped to call the police. I told the dispatch my experience and asked them if I needed to stick around for questioning. They told me they would send some officers out to check the street and I was fine to continue on driving. I then called my girlfriend and told her what had happened. She was just happy I was safe. I have no idea what those guys' intentions were. I don't know if they were actually having car troubles or if I was going to get carjacked, or worse. Needless to say, after that night, I'll not be driving the back roads alone at night anymore. Did I seriously make that through that story with 0 mistakes? That was pretty good. That means I get -1 mistake. Dems the rules. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Sometimes I kind of get in like a vibe and I'm not thinking about it because, you know. You guys are so proud of me. Thank you. Spooky says, I'll remind him later to look. What was it? Was it a thingamajiggy? Also for the alien video, like, I love or at least the vision that people like Nexpo, Nightmare Expo, and Rainbot, and I'm sure plenty of other people like kind of examine internet anomalies and cool things around the internet and all that kind of stuff. And I've always thought that would be a lot of fun to do, and I think my voice would lend itself relatively well to that. Ashley Z with the three A bucks, Australian bucks. Bravo, good job. Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it. And you know, it's tough because I know that most of the people subscribe to this specific channel for the fact that it's, you know, long form narrations. They like the voice. They like to fall asleep and all that good stuff. But I really think it would be cool to get into kind of doing documentary style things. I don't know if Spartan Hunter is here currently right now, but he had basically written a script related to some, you know, the origins of alien and UFO sort of fascination within the United States, you know, referencing back to like occurrences that happened at Roswell and the like. I think that would be a really cool way to start out the alien video, but I don't know if it would fare very well as its own individualized video, because it's the script at this point is not super long, but I think it would be kind of a cool pretext to leading into other people's supposed experiences with sightings and alien extraterrestrial, you know, sightings, I guess, and experiences, encounters. Saniko-san with the $2 says, my aunt Mariella and I love your channel. That's awesome. I'm glad it can make a little bit of a family ordeal out of it. Have it as part of the special, make your specials even more special. Yeah, you know, be a cool, you know, I'm always looking for editors. Well, you know, not necessarily editors, because I don't really have much to edit. I do most of that myself for the videos, and as you can tell, like, pretty much just all cookie cutter still frames and things like that. And most of it's focused just around the voice and all that good stuff. But, and I do have a friend who's pretty good at editing videos, but I really need an idea that to change up things. I just need an idea that I can kind of go all in on, you know what I mean? Like, that I can look at it as like being a worthwhile investment per se, I guess, as far as ideas for the future of the channel. So if you guys ever have any ideas for things to investigate, things to kind of get into, I don't know how well they would do on the channel, because I know some people, they see that and they don't even think, I mean, maybe especially it would have to be kind of long. Like, I feel like the documentaries and stuff would have to be at least 20 to 30 minutes, so that it, you know, people would jump on board. But yeah, if anybody has any ideas for something, or maybe they're investigating cool things, you know, send it to me over Discord or email, or, you know, over on the subreddit and stuff like that. Things, just topics you want to talk about, and maybe that'll catch my eye, and we can all do that. Jay says he'll give me $50 if I come to his house and whisper in his ear when I go to bed. Well, you listen for me, Jay. You put that 50 under your pillow, and I will be there between 3 and 4 a.m. Christopher Polanski with the $2 says, my cat, also named Spooky, loves listening to you. She shares a name with the great moderator Spooky Whispering and the great ASMR artist. Check out her channel. Yeah, I would love to do more examinations on cryptids and things of that nature. I think the tough thing with editing video too is like how do you avoid getting, because not only is there copyright strikes on YouTube where someone can manually strike your channel if you're, you know, taking their content, monetizing it without their permission and that kind of thing, but there's also copyright claims that are automated by YouTube's system that necessarily don't hurt your channel, but what ends up happening is that if someone is in some sort of system, I don't exactly know how it works, but their video and that kind of thing goes into a system that basically will automatically claim someone's video, and then any sort of ad revenue that comes from that video until the claim is solved will go into the other person's AdSense process, which is usually like a company. And I think that's how a lot of companies that do music and stuff kind of cover a wide base of fraud or whatever during that time. Valo Torres with the 2 bucks says, what's the creepiest thing that's happened to you? I don't know. I guess we're still in the process of being creeped on. Creepiest thing. I've been pretty fortunate. I mean, I've had sleep paralysis. That was pretty creepy, but as far as some of these stories, like this kid who just got almost had his, car jacked, or the person that's cousin was insane, never really had too much of that. Or maybe I have and I've suppressed it so much I can't even remember. I know, I had a fortunate childhood. I really did. I grew up in a area that was safe, and my parents were nice people. Okay, Spooky's got an editor. Yeah, I would love to check out their stuff. That would be awesome. Bennikins, what's happening? Good to see you. I'm having a good day so far. I don't even... Oh yeah, I stayed up really late playing this puzzle game with my friend, the Puzzler. It's called like Baba is something or whatever. And basically, if you can imagine, it's kind of like the levels are like a grid-like system, or kind of like a bird's eye view, a little bit like Pokemon. And you know how in Pokemon you can push rocks by using strength? Basically, you push these words around. So there'll be like 3-letter strings of words that go to the right. So like there'll be one, and they're kind of like set the rules, like the rules for how things operate within the level. So it'll be Baba is you, and then Baba is a block, is a block, and you is a block. And then there's one where it might say like rock is push. And if you were to move the one with Baba in any fashion that it would kind of get rid of the rule called, where Baba is you or anything like that, you would fail, but you can reverse time, and that's kind of cool. But anyways, you can do things like move rock down into where Baba is, where you're like a little rabbit. And all of a sudden, rock is you, and now you become the rock, and you can do things. So you can imagine like there's infinite different possibilities with items on the map. You can like, Baba is the pillars on the map, and all of a sudden like Baba becomes all the pillars, and you can move that. So it's really neat little puzzler. And sometimes I get a little addicted to those. They're a nice change up from a lot of these competitive shooters that I play. Oh, Spooky says, just editing the grammar so it's easier for you to read. I do it myself, but I'm dyslexic and my brain fixes the areas as I read them over and don't notice them. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. That's sometimes like I overlook my writing so much with that stuff, and I ended up making more mistakes. But that would be awesome. I love if they're comfortable editing stories so that they sound better and things like that. That would be a great way to streamline the process. Thank you, Spooky. Okay, so this next story is called My Significant Other and I Knew the Same Creep Before We Met. I'm gonna do a new Reddit special where I just read the titles and that's it. 100 stories special. It's 15 minutes, or 5 minutes long. Zach, you had a story where you were the creep. Yeah, I would definitely read that. Definitely go to reddit.com/r/let's-read-official, and you can submit your stories there. The real Shad man. I don't know. I'm not one to give that pass, my friend. That's probably a no-go in chat. So my significant other and I were talking once after reading stories to each other for this very subreddit, and started telling one another about creeps we had known in the past. It became clear after a while that we had known the same creep mere months apart before we had even met each other. So let me take you to that tale. Okay. Oh, there is a subreddit for two-sentence horror story. Interesting. Michelle, you're planting melon seeds? That's good. I guess it's that time of the year, huh? Get out in your garden, get some sun, live life. You're telling me that winter didn't completely destroy the earth and we're allowed to go outside again? That's awesome. So let me tell you about the tale of Carl. So I would say about 8 years before my significant other and I had met, my ex and I were in the market for a roommate to take up the slack on the rent that the previous roommate left behind. We found it in an individual named Carl. Now, things seemed okay with Carl. He went to class and worked part-time, kept the place clean, and paid rent on time. We even hung out as a group whenever we could arrange it and watch things together. We thought everything was cool. So cool, in fact, we saw no problem with leaving Carl alone in the apartment while my ex and I went on a road trip. Whoops. Just the name Carl, creepy. I knew a creepy Carl. He was a good guy, but perhaps I tend to attract crazy, I suppose. I tend to entertain their ideas. So cool, in fact, we saw no problem with leaving Carl alone in the apartment while my ex and I went on a trip with my ex's family. During the trip, Carl let us know he needed to move out because he had lost his job and was having trouble finding another. This is important. We said that was fine and he just had to be out by the time we got back, and he said that was not a problem since this gave him almost 60 days to find a new place and we would just take the rent he couldn't pay out of the security deposit. So time goes by and we get back and see a bunch of suitcases and no Carl. And my ex and I think, oh, he really cut this close, but whatever, these things happen. Then we see a random woman exit Carl's room, but think nothing of it, because they must be here to help Carl move, right? No. This woman, Nancy, walks up to my ex and I and asks, "Who are you and what are you doing in Carl's apartment?" Then, the story unfolds. So while we were gone, Carl decided they weren't super big on the idea of leaving and had moved Nancy in, telling them they owned the whole big studio apartment. Those bags from earlier, those were her bags. She was moving into our room. Carl had told her that my ex and I had skipped out and was left behind to take care of our stuff and throw it all away and this and that and the other. Just an endless sea of lies. We had to show Nancy the lease and our text to prove that Carl was subleasing from us before she would believe us, and then we offered her Carl's spot since we did have a vacancy, which they accepted since they had just moved out of their dorms and had nowhere to go now. Things are going okay, and we are all geared up to face Carl when he gets home from work when Nancy mentions something offhandedly, that Carl had been putting peanuts in the milk in the fridge this morning before he left. Now, my ex had a terrible peanut allergy and loves milk. If he had taken one sip, they would have probably died because we did not have any EpiPens and Carl knew that. So, with attempted murder now revealed and single white female coming to mind, Carl strolls in, sees us, and says, out loud, "Oh God." Yeah, trying to think of what to say because it says the F word. Wouldn't want anyone to hear that. fart. Oh, heck. Now, with attempted murder now revealed and a single white female coming to mind, Carl strolls in, sees us, and says out loud, "Oh God!" Yeah, oh God is right. He was very surprised that Nancy was not on his side, and that he really had to leave right that second, and that she had ratted him out about the milk when he tried to get my ex to drink it to prove it wasn't tainted. I repeat, Carl told my ex to drink the milk repeatedly to prove his innocence, not dump the milk out and look for peanuts. Drink the milk, and when you don't die, it proves I didn't poison it. Yeah, that's a big no. So we made Carl pack that instant and leave because we were young and didn't think the police would take any of this seriously since they had a record of avoiding things that were not cut and drier. Oops. Vegan Penguin with the 2. Such a professional. Thank you, Vegan. I'm glad someone takes me seriously. Just kidding. Oh, fudge. So we made Carl pack that instant and leave because we were young and didn't think the police would take any of this seriously since they had a record of avoiding things that were not cut and dry. Now at this point, you may be saying to yourself, work, but I thought Carl didn't have a job and that's why he had to leave. That's where my significant other, whom I would not meet for years, mind you, came in. For you see, the place that Carl got a job at was my significant other's place of work. Carl was hired to stock the shelves, and that was it. Just stock the stock the shelves. Just stock the shelves. Not clean or do inventory or anything else. Just stock the shelves. Carl proceeds to follow customers around and harass them about what they were going to buy what? Going to buy so he wouldn't know what... Okay. Carl proceeds to follow customers around and harass them about what they were going to buy so he would know what to get more of from the back. He went so far as to pick through their carts to see what items they had while they were still shopping and follow them through the aisles, mostly women. Carl would also sit on the floor of the aisles with Nancy and just talk, blocking everyone and not moving unless someone told him to. And since this was a specialty shop with intermittent traffic, this could be quite a while, but it was also preferable to him harassing the customers, so management let it go. So what finally got Carl fired, you may ask? Well, the owner of the store came in very early one day to do inventory and saw that lights were on in the basement of the building. They followed those lights to the stockroom and found Carl sleeping there, on a pile of product. When they told him to leave, he asked when he could come back, and they told him never, for which he seemed rather angry. He tried just showing up to work several times after that, like nothing happened, and everyone had to keep kicking him out. From what I understand, he had a place to go, he just didn't want to pay rent there, and thought if he slept in the stockroom, he wouldn't have to leave. No one, either myself or significant other, knows as... Whoops. No one, either myself or my significant other knows, has seen or heard from Carl since. We are all fine with that. It's kind of funny because I don't know if you guys kind of experienced this, but as I was reading that story about Carl, I knew a guy who was a little bit weird named Carl, and he was a good guy, but for some reason I couldn't help but just place his face on this Carl that was in the story, So I don't know if you guys do the same thing where you hear a name and you just immediately have a person that now is going to be that person in your head for the story. People from Austin, San Antonio, and Watcher is from Wales. Nice. Yo, it's Joel the Creeper. What's up, guys? It's me, Creepy Joel. I do think it's funny that my my name on Twitter is Let's Read Creepy. Vegan Penguin with the $2 says, I call 140 mistakes by the end of the stream. Uh-oh. He's trying to place bets, ladies and gentlemen. What do you guys got? Whoever wants to write the Creeper Joel story, feel free to. Also, make a movie out of it and let me star in it. Creeper named Joel. Or just Creepy Joel. White Rabbit with the 5 says, your singing has brightened up my day quite a bit. I like the way you're producing your videos, especially the cheerful birds and the hey friends. Yeah, that inspiration came from Evil Dead. Have you guys seen Evil Dead? Not the remake, I have not seen that. Or no, I did see that one actually. And I think that's what made me watch the old one. But at the end of Evil Dead, she literally survives, and it's like a picture-perfect ending where the sun's coming up, and you know there's dew in the fog, and it's the sun's coming through the trees, and now there's hope, and it just shows her like walking off into, you know, what is supposedly happy ever after kind of thing, and the morning birds are chirping with that ending, and I was like, huh, that's a perfect way to end the movie, I guess, you know, as far as happy go, you know, it's so stereotypical and funny. So that was the inspiration for that, and I found some chirping bird audio. Surprisingly, it sounded like crap. So I was able to remove the background noise in it, and it sounds way better now, and it's in every video. Arlita! Hello, welcome to the party. Blue Velvet has a chirping bird happy ending as well. Who's Blue Velvet? I don't know if I've seen their videos. Samantha, it's okay you're late, but you will have to see me after class. White Rabbit says, the new one came out on my birthday, so we had an Evil Dead marathon and then went to see the midnight showing. Really cool, except everyone else was scared. They're just a bunch of babies. Yeah, that new one was pretty creepy though, with like the possessed girl. Was that also a Raimi, you know, what's his name, Raimi or whatever? Martinez has finally a chill live stream that I can listen to while I draw for my uni application. I'm stressed. Oh wow, you're drawing for the application. That's pretty intense. I do wish the best for you in getting in. Garrett Weisman with the 2 says, I sent you a story to your email. Awesome. What is that story about, Mr. Garrett? Mr. Weisman? Mr. Wise the man? So this one. Emotionally abused, lied to, and was mentally tormented. Sounds like a happy story. This story happened about oh, my throat got a little bit scratchy. This story happened about 4 years ago, spanning the end of my grade 10 year to halfway through my grade 11. I was in the band room of my school where my friends and I liked to hang out and eat our lunches since we were all friends with the band teacher. But one day, there were a few new people there. One of them was Tim. Tim was in grade 12, I was in grade 10, and we hit it off immediately. It was like we were almost the same person. Interests, hobbies, activities, etc. I didn't see it at the time, but he was basing all of his likes off of mine. We exchanged information like Snapchat, Discord, phone number, and the whole lot, and we spent a lot of time talking. This is where things started to go downhill. I was talking to him, and at this point, we had known each other for about a week and some change. He says to me that he's in the hospital for attempting to end his life and that he's really sorry. As soon as I saw this, I started crying as I and other people knew he did actually have depression and tendencies of that nature. While he was in the hospital for the week and a half he was there, he kept trying to get me to come to see him while using the classic, "I'll end my life if you don't come see me" bit. I, however, did not want to go, as the mental health recovery unit was where I lived. I, however, could not want to go as the mental health recovery unit where I live has a strict could not want to go? I, however, could not go as the mental health recovery unit where I live has a strict family-only policy for, I, however, could not go, as the mental health recovery unit where I live has a strict family-only policy for patient safety. I explicitly told him that I could not see him, and he kept trying to manipulate me into doing so. A few weeks later, just after school ended and Tim and I had been talking for a while, I got a message from this girl named Sarah in my Instagram DM saying things like, "How dare you flirt with my boyfriend?" Or, "Why did you come on to him when he has a girlfriend?" and things like that. I don't remember exactly, as I wanted to block this whole period of time out. After a while of explaining and telling her that I did not know he had a girlfriend, she explains to me that he's done this thing before and to just stop talking to him. Also that he did the same thing to her initially, and now she's so far trapped in this abusive relationship that she can't get out. His MO per se was preying on young, naive girls for mental validation, all the while making them feel horrible for not doing things for him. Before Sarah's coming to me, there were red flags and sirens going off in my head. Man, that music is loud as poop. 1 second. I'm skipping ahead on that because it was like kind of abrasive. Mega oof. Gabe says, why not include the profanity? Because YouTube increases your odds of just having your video turn from green $ to yellow $, which decreases your chances of monetization and all that kind of jazz. So I think, like, doesn't necessarily, yes, Gabe, it is that bad. Yeah. And before banned. Thank you, Ezreal. Give me hope. Okay. After the explanation. Before Sarah coming to me, Before Sarah's coming to me, there were red flags and sirens going off in my head, but I chose to ignore them since I didn't and still don't like breathing things. Breathing. Before Sarah coming to me, there were red flags and sirens going off in my head, but I chose to ignore them since I didn't and still don't like breaking things off with people without a good reason. When he invited me out, I'd make and excuse myself. When he invited me out, I'd make excuses since my gut told me to run. But I didn't run, at least not before Sarah. After the explanation, I quickly started ghosting Tim. It was pretty simple, since we didn't actually have any overlapping activities or hobbies, so all I had to do was block him on social media and block his number. Fast forward to the end of November of my grade 11 year. I've forgotten about Tim and tried my hardest to push what he did out of my brain. Guess who pops into the only social media DM I forgot to block him on, but Tim himself. And me, being the trusting person I was, saw nothing wrong with it. Maybe he changed. Maybe he was a different boy by now. He told me he was off for Christmas break the week after, and I wondered if I wanted to go to no. He told me he was off for Christmas break the week after and wondered if I wanted to go to a frat party with him. Now the flags are rising and I say, sure, why not? Then text Sarah about what's happening. During this hiatus from Tim, Sarah and I built quite a close friendship. She says she didn't even know he was coming back and that he told her that he was going to Cancun with his family for the holiday, leaving on December 5th, but that she's away at her father's place about 45 minutes out of town for the week of the party, and to do as I see fit. I wanted to have some fun, so I went to this party. I was easily the youngest person in the whole party. As I was only 16 at the time, I didn't feel comfortable drinking at a place other than my home, so I chose not to drink. Tim, however, does drink. Once he was drunk enough for his liking, we get up to go, and I know where I live pretty well. Not a big city, but not a small one either, and we went down a street I had never been down before. Again, red flags were going off, and I was tense and jumpy. There's no one on the street and no lights on in the houses. Tim then plants himself in front of me and tries to kiss me. I, being 16 and never having kissed anyone before, didn't take well to this. Luckily, at the time, my mother was making me take a ladies' self-defense course, so I punched him in the eye, kicked his groin, and booked it. Some people might say that this was an overreaction, but I've been harassed before and didn't want to take my chances with a drunk guy, even one I knew. I busted home from downtown, and when I get home it's a little after 10:30 at night. I didn't tell my mom since I was scared she'd get mad at me for being at a party. I was irrational and, in hindsight, probably should have told her. I immediately text Sarah to tell her what happened, and she doesn't reply until the next morning. From what she said, he texted her all sweet-like, and she gave him the address of her dad's place where she was staying while he was on a business trip. He got there, still intoxicated and angry, hit her a few times and verbally abused her until she had to leave and go to her mother's house. I tell Sarah that I'm sorry for what happened and hope it never happens again, but that I cannot keep talking to her unless I want Tim in my life, which I didn't. Back to today, and Sarah's still with Tim, and I see her around sometimes with a black eye one day or a swollen cheek the next. To this day, I have trust issues with guys, and it's extremely hard for me to form romantic relationships for fear that this will happen again. Before cutting off contact with Sarah, I did offer help, and she said that other friends did too, but she didn't want people tied up in her mess. I still say hi every once in a while, and maybe once a year just to catch up, but that's it. Ugh. Yikes. Maybe I should end that a little bit stronger. I felt like I kind of abruptly ended that because it says, to the boy who mentally abused me and abused his girlfriend, let's never not meet again, which, I mean, I don't know. That's like part of the whole shtick of the subreddit is to say let's not meet again, but I feel like it just doesn't feel very, it's kind of repetitive, and I'm sure I've seen a lot of comments and the YouTube videos were like, can you just never use the let's not meet thing? So I tend to avoid it. So maybe I'll try the ending again here. I still say hi every once in a while, maybe once a year, just to catch up. But that's about it. I still say hi every once in a while, maybe once a year, just to catch up. I think getting rid of like the "let's not meet" thing just makes it more like cinematic or whatever. Not necessarily cinematic, but just like more unique. You just gave your kittens catnip. Are you crazy? Do you want to die? Emphasize that's, but that's it. I don't know. That one doesn't really have like a climactic ending. It's kind of, I guess, anticlimactic, but that's it. Okay. They still say hi every once in a little while, maybe once a year, just to catch up. But that's it. Bravo, bravo, bravo. It is the cat equivalent of giving kitties drugs. Cat nipper. Oh, you know what was actually nuts? My roommate gets the... Oh, Pradeep is actually in my room right now. Hi, Pradeep. He's so cute. He's such a good boy. My roommate had... what's it called? Icy hot pads. Because he was having some issues with his back and stuff. And it was crazy. The cat went in there. And because he was, laying on the bed with his icy hot pads or lying on some covers and stuff, the cat was smelling out in the covers and was going insane, like literally going like crazy and just like ripping at the covers, like trying to tear them up and stuff. And it was apparently, we were reading online that catnip apparently makes cats kind of nuts. Naru Nebulous. $5 says or is that an I can't tell. Wow. But thank you for the 5, Naru. Cat's gone wild. What did I eat for dinner? I actually did not eat really today yet. I had like a big bag of dates. I think I've talked about dates before. Which you get the pitted dates for I think they're called Mariana dates. And like it's weird, like I've gotten dates from other places and they're just so dry and gross. But like these dates, especially if you get like a really good one, it's like biting into a freaking, like, you know how like raisins, well, there's raisins and then there's like dried cranberries. I would say dried cranberries are like way better than raisins. They just tend to be sweeter and maybe a little bit thicker. But sometimes you get like one of the dates that are just like so thick and thick with multiple C's and just covered in syrup. And it's delicious. I've never really eaten prunes before. Prunes never really kind of jumped out to me. What's my favorite candy? That is a good question because there's so many good candies. Joel likes thick dates. This is true. I back in the day I used to like get the freaking like 5-pound well, I guess they weren't 5 pounds, they were like 2.5 pounds of Swedish fish. Like the real big trout, as they call it. And it was so good. It was so good. Love Swedish fish. I love anything Reese's. Like chocolate peanut butter is just like my... Like I'm predictable with what kind of desserts I get, usually at places where people are like, oh, Joel's gonna get chocolate peanut butter. Shut up. I can get whatever I want. It just so happens that I'm incredibly predictable. JK. Cashy's gotta breathe. Skittles, yeah, I like Skittles. Skittles are good, but like there's just a sensation when eating them that it feels as if though I'm eating some sort of like synthetic, futuristic piece of material or something like that. Like every aspect of it was like has no organic matter. You know what I mean? Like it was specifically created in a rubber factory and coated in sugar, which is fine. You know, give it to your kids, no big deal. Oh my God, Shaggy's. So my name is Joel, but it's funny because he spelled it J-U-U-L. Everybody's always peeing in the jewel room. I never had Meiji gummies. What are Meiji gummies? Is that something from Japan? Is that Japanese? They're only available in animes. Jake Sully in the house. Welcome, Jacob, to the party. If that is your real name, rather. Because Jake Sully's from Avatar. Have you guys seen Avatar? The dude in the wheelchair who becomes a blue person. Thomas Fries with $3 says, I like fresh figs. Can you do a story about that? Absolutely. The Fig Tree Massacre. Or the Haunted Fig Tree. Oops. I think Thomas, either it's a glitch or Thomas donated twice with $3. Again, saying he likes fresh figs, and can you just... If it pops up again on the notifications, then we'll know, but I would feel bad if you didn't mean to donate twice, and either way, you are very much appreciated. And there's a story in the Bible about Jesus, like, cursing a fig tree because the figs were... Well, I could be wrong, I forget what it is, like, he just... Like, a fig was not ripe or something like that, and then he just cursed the whole tree. These figs are disgusting. I kill this tree. We'll tell a story about that one. Ooh, strawberries dipped in chocolate. I do like that, but I kind of hate sometimes you bite into them and like all of the chocolate shelling around it just like crumbles off, and yeah. And strawberries are good though. I actually had strawberries earlier, I just remember that. Yeah, actually I did eat today, so I still had some dates, so I had like a few of those, but for some reason I was so stuffed from the dates last night that eating the same thing this morning just felt kind of like weird. So I only had a few, and then my roommate, we went to a gas station to get food. It's a very luxurious gas station. And there I got a espresso mixed with coffee, and that was got me nice and jazzed up. And then I had some strawberries, and the strawberries like weren't, it was weird, like they didn't taste very ripe. All of them tasted like kind of a bitter water, so that was weird. Jake Sully says, with $5, says, Yomi a hookah. Thank you, Jake, for the 5. I appreciate that. You don't like fruit that much, and bananas are cursed because I eat them for a while. Eat them for a whole day. Oh yeah, man, I used to, man, whenever I was younger and I'd just be at home by myself during the summer, there was just certain foods that you're so bored, so you just eat and eat and eat, and I would just like destroy entire bushels of bananas and entire boxes of cereal because I just had nothing to do but eat. I was a thick boy. Emotionally abused and lied to. Okay, so we are at the halfway mark. Well, I guess upon completing this story. It is a bit early for strawberry season. That's a great point. That's probably why they were just... Yeah, I was definitely a chubby kid. Yeah, I guess. When did I start? Like, you know how like you can kind of just gauge, you just kind of gauge your weight from like a childhood, or at least like when you start to become kind of aware of it in the sense of like your identity or whatever. And I just remember like always feeling relatively chubby since I was probably like, I don't like, ever since I can remember, just always being a chubby little kid, which is fine. Being a chubby little kid's not a big deal, because, and really being a chubby person in general, I mean, there's always time to get healthy. It's never too late to start, whether that's walking, whether that's editing your diet process or whatever, or I don't know, becoming a bodybuilder or something like that. Never too late to start. But yeah, a chubby kid is a well-fed kid. And my mom definitely fed me well. I remember like every, Garrett with the $2 says you should do another video for Crypt TV. Yeah, Crypt TV was a fun experience. I definitely appreciate their, process, I guess, and like all of their videos are high quality or whatever. It was just tough because it was a paid promotion kind of thing, and I just really had to operate by their like kind of specific stipulations. And it just, like for me, a lot of since I release like 3 times a week, that's like a lot of videos in the YouTube world per se. I mean, obviously not like PewDiePie, who's pumping stuff out like twice a day or whatever he's doing, but like it a lot of what I do tends to be sort of last minute, so it was just difficult to make a video, feel that I put all of my effort into it, and then I would have to show it to them, almost under the interpretation that based on my Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, I'd have to release something like the next day, and then like waiting around to get feedback from them for them just to tell me that I needed to change this, this, and this. And it really reminded me like how some people within the creative realm go through the process of having to answer to somebody, and it just kind of made me question, whether or not like, is this even worth, the sponsorship process, you know what I mean? I don't know. So it's like I definitely enjoy what they've done, but I just I think the one that did the best, or at least was the easiest for me, was the video where I just reacted to or I did a live stream watching their videos. That was fun. But yeah. But yeah, being a chubby kid, like Fridays, I remember getting picked up from daycare or whatever, and like my mom would take me to, get freaking like 2 Jesus, man, like 2 frozen Reese's like ice cream bars, and then getting like one of those like giant, I don't know if it was like a liter of Mountain Dew, and just just straight sugar to my like little kid bloodstream and DNA, you know what I mean? And like that's fine once in a while, but like that diet wasn't necessarily confined to weekends per se. It was sort of like, I don't know, encouraged, not necessarily encouraged, but not disallowed by any means. There was no sort of oversight to what I was allowed or not allowed to eat. And I wasn't a very active kid throughout all of elementary school. And I remember that always kind of sucked because, like, when you're a big kid, you want to participate in... No, my mom was great. I love my mom. I'm just saying that, like, I just wish that she would have been a little bit more strict on that thing, on the diet front. And it wasn't until middle school that my dad was... It was the discipline from my dad and the sort of frustration with seeing me not really do anything or have really any interest in doing anything other than playing video games, that he sort of forced me to join football. So I joined like a church league football team, and And it sucked. I really never wanted to go, but it began the base process of training my body to be familiar with challenging itself. You know what I mean? As far as running and pushing people and just, physical challenge, and experiencing stuff outside of your comfort zone and meeting people socially. And, there was just so much to it, and learning discipline and that kind of thing and respecting authority, whatever. But, I would highly suggest, if possible, if you have kids, get them involved in sports as soon as you can, because it just creates such a strong base for that will continue to affect the person's life all the way well beyond when organized sports is no longer a part of their life. They will want to continue running or continue participating in some sort of league or whatever. Exercising is so important to the body, and I'm glad that I was at least introduced to it in middle school, because it wasn't until then that my body started to sort of compensate in the other direction as far as building muscle and from that point, just being around other people, it builds confidence. And I think that's the greatest thing that you can do with a kid, is build confidence in them. That gives them just a sense of self-worth, and it's a tough thing to come by nowadays, you know what I mean? Because so many of us are socially isolated, and I think it's important to really instill that sense of confidence early in kids. But sorry, I am rambling. Let's move on to hey, see ya, Anime Wolf. It was gonna do some homework. Well, good luck to you. This one's called "The Burglar Climbed Through My Bedroom Window While I Was in Bed." Yeah, I would be careful with getting your kid involved in, football, because the one annoying part where, even though I was, football is great. I loved it. It's a cool sport. It's definitely the most entertaining sport, I think, that exists in modern America or whatever. But, the only bad thing about it is that, there's different positions that, push kids in certain directions that sometimes can be unhealthy. So, if you're a linebacker, defensive, you know what I mean? You see how the size changes. You go from the D-line, O-line, those are the fat, big guys. They're big and they're fat. They're obviously strong, the strongest guys in the field, but, mass moves mass, kind of thing. And that was the only unfortunate part, is that even though I was beginning to become more active physically by getting involved in football, I still was the idea of being an unhealthy weight by being an offensive lineman, defensive lineman. It was still instilled in me that eating a lot of food and being big and stuff was somehow inherently good. And, obviously there's certain kids who are better suited for that, but it certainly wasn't very suited for me, and my body kind of fought it. But then to compensate, I would just continue to eat more, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like I might suit well for eating competitions. But yeah, and then also just head injuries and stuff like that for kids who play football, because it's sort of instilled in you just to crack somebody when you're going as fast as you can, and put your head down and just smash into somebody. And you don't really know, your brain is developing. Your brain develops all the way up to you're 25. So imagine if you just continue to hit your head and you get concussions, you don't even realize it. You've heard about stories Teddy Bruschi or whatever like that. He just dealt with so many concussions that eventually I believe he ended up ending his life, you know what I mean? Because they just couldn't deal with the constant migraines and headaches, and it begins to shut off certain aspects of your body that might deal with empathy, things like that, So football is definitely a good thing, but it's also, if your big goal, every kid has the dream of joining the NFL or going to some professional sports team, but if you could make the decision between being a basketball player or, basketball, baseball, or football, I would highly suggest playing one of the other sports and stuff, and just staying active in general, because